a smoothie thing, but no, right in front of him. They're cooking, and are big.
He's gonna check one, gets the headshot, he gets the ace! Welcome to VCT Pacific Bleed. You have absolutely earned it. A 3-0, the clean sweep.
Bleed Esports have been one of the most iconic names of SEA Valorant since late 2021. They've been known to be one of the most premium names in Valorant Esports who back in the day were mentioned occasionally in the same breath as Paper Rex. A team that was destined for greatness since the beginning, as they were the one team who was seen to actually make it a franchising in the first year itself, but missed out by the smallest of margins. But as of July 9, 2023, Bleed etched themselves into Valorant history, becoming the first ever VCT Ascension Pacific winners, as they quite literally clawed their entire way up to the very top of Valorant. They reached exactly where they belonged all along, amongst the Eternals. This is how Bleed transcended to the VCT Pacific League.
Beautiful performances today.
When Bleed first started off in 2021, they didn't really have much running their way. It was more of a test to see who works, what works, etc., and then start to build upon that. In 2022 was when they really started showing that they've got some magic in them after Pyth and Maxi joined. But even after that, it wasn't as successful as they would have hoped, because they were finishing top 3 consistently but were losing to a very strong SEA dominating Xerxia and Paper X back then. After a few top 3 places and a few third-party tournament wins, the VCT franchise leagues were announced. Bleed have been and were a very stable and reputed org, but unfortunately didn't make it to the Pacific. And in August of 2022, they released their entire Valorant roster with a future in the game that seemed to be uncertain for them. And that's when the VCT Ascension and Challenger leagues were shown up by Riot, a tier 2 system that would allow them to go directly to the VCT Pacific leagues. A direct front path for a team to climb all the way to the top of Valorant and play against the best. And this is where Bleed's true journey began. This is where they became the super team that they are today. Bleed had released their entire roster, yes, but they still kept Legia, their coach, with them because they wanted him to lead the next project and rebuild of Bleed's Valorant team. It was a good decision by the organization because Legia's experience spans over almost 2 decades and he knows a thing or two about building some great teams from back in Germany. They started their rebuild by bringing back Darion, brought Crazy Guy in to lead the team, one of the best controller players the Pacific has seen and a player who deserved to play in the VCT Pacific League in the first place, Scary, the cracked AF prodigy, Juicy, and after a few changes to find their 5th, which eventually was Neff. It seemed like a literal super team that could do wonders in the Pacific League, let alone Ascension. Since the formation of the team itself, a huge number of people were convinced that Bleed will definitely be the ones to throw over everyone who comes their way and make it to the Pacific, and well, they did not disappoint at all. It was a super team indeed because when they started the Challenger leagues, Bleed just ripped apart their entire region. Enigma Gaming were their only challenge and they turned them over to after their only loss to them. From the start of Split 1 of MYSG Challenger League till the end of Split 2, Bleed lost just 1 series out of the 20 that they played and overall dropped only 6 maps out of 46 maps played. These stats are enough to show you how freaking scary and dominant this team was. And to put this to even more perspective, 4 out of the 5 top KDA stats were of Bleed's players in Split 2 of MYSG. Bleed came into Ascension as the hot favorites with high momentum. And with that same momentum and discipline, Bleed were ready to take on the rest of Asia. Placed in the group of death alongside D+, Scars, Bonkers and Orangutan, they had everything stacked against them, but they came out with guns blazing after a shaky first match against Orangutan, where they almost gave it away but recovered to win 2-1. They beat everyone else in the group except D+, who eventually were unable to qualify as Bleed finished the top of their group. Seeded into the semi-finals directly, Bleed awaited their opponent to come to them, and this time they were looking far beyond anyone's reach. They beat probably one of the only teams who could have given them a scare in the semi-finals, and they did. Boom Esports in a highly competitive matchup. Bleed did lose the first map by the smallest of margins, but they turned it around and achieved a comeback victory that seemed inevitable. They beat their SEA rivals 2-1 and went on to the finals, where the Japanese giants were waiting for them. While a lot of people said that Scars were fated to go up against them and this time take revenge, Bleed came into this final with what seemed like to be their deadliest selves yet. This final was either going to be a 3-0 domination or a 3-2 nail-biting race to the finish. And in the end, we all saw what happened. This one round from Scary is enough to captivate how crazy good and crazy scary Bleed really are.
Probable.
If he gets these two around this corner, though,
might still want to try to go for it. The push out, time on a crystal, plays it patiently, he swings back in, but 12 seconds, and they can just scatter to the wind, the fault line will connect, he's got the spike, he's gonna TP across the map! Can he get it in time? It's gonna be so damn close, but I believe he has it! It's Scary! He might just be able to bring this back from the brink. I believe he wanted the TP up into heaven, couldn't make it happen, sends down the smoke, and my God, what a position to be in, unthinkable!
certainly not Achilleos. Certainly not. Ooh, counter TP here from Torneko.
Oh, but cancels it. He's gonna check one. Gets the headshot. He gets the ace. Scary, the hometown hero.
Absolute insanity as Scary pulled off probably the clutch of the year in this final with this play on Haven. Then Bleed went on to Bind, where they literally did not let a single Scar strategy work, and they held them off so well that the deadliest form of Jemkin, their best player on the Reyna, was limited to getting literally no kills. They bullied Scars to the point of destruction of one of their best players because he couldn't land a single blow across 15 rounds. After this game, it seemed like Scars had lost their mental as a team. Even though Jemkin made a solid comeback on Fracture, getting his form instantly back, Bleed were just far too gone beyond their reach as one fateful map later.
It's still going to be a trade up when they need it so badly. Neural theft coming through. Darian about to be revealed, about to be blown up perhaps, but still manages to get a parting gift on the one. Crazy guy now on in his lonesome. He shuts down the showstopper and brings this round back into the realm of possibility. Could be the one to clutch this up, the 1v2, to get them over the line. He drops down the rope. Once he's seen, it looks like the answer's no, and he's got it done! 13-8, the 3-0. Scars have been bled dry. Welcome to VCT Pacific Bleed. You have absolutely earned it.
Destined, fated, deserved. They defended, they ascended, they transcended. Bleed Esports created history as they pitched up into the VCT Pacific League with a statement that they deserve to be here. And now they are. Amongst the gods of the Pacific is now a new, young and radiant team. And if you're not careful around them, you will bleed.